Yo, good evening, USA, International, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, tri state areas of New Jersey, Connecticut, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens. This is your man and homie G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. Rhymes with now or later. Your host with the most misunderstood lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, creator, YouTuber, and Queens, New York native who is also a fan of New York sports teams such as the Giants, the Knicks at 5, and the Mets from the neck of the woods of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And you are now rocking with me by listening and watching the 130th episode of the Sports Edition show. Excellent, fun, vibrant talks podcast, live and direct from StreamYard alongside with the comfort of my room where I do my podcast recordings. This is the platform to talk about things in sports such as what's going on with the New York Giants, the New York Knicks, and the New York Mets, as well as other sports related things like college basketball and a little bit of what's going on down on the farm with the minor leagues and so much more. And yes, in case you're wondering how you could actually support me and this sports show podcast platform right here is by making sure you click on that subscribe button on this sports YouTube channel page. You can even hype up the video alongside with sharing the videos with your friends and alongside with spreading the word. Word of mouth is important. And of course, click on the notification alerts so you know when I'll be on the air live with more new sports topics and new episodes. All right. So let me just start off by saying that how proud I am of the New York Mets so far, man. Earlier I was watching the game as they take on the Nationals. They actually pulled off a sweep. All right. This is like they actually pulled off the sweep. They actually pulled off the 6 walk-off win. And I gotta say, man, if they keep this up, they'll be able to play spoilers to the other teams. So just wanna get on that as well. And also, I will remind you that there is a documentary going on Tuesday, August 18th after the post game. It's dedicated to Howie Rose, who is retiring this year. And of course, in case you didn't know, I'll discuss that in a few. And of course, I'll discuss some other sports related topics that's in this episode that I'm going to actually talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is Eli Manning. Eli Manning being snubbed once again for the Hall of Fame. And to get started, let's go here. The quick side bleacher bar. I hope everyone out there is keeping themselves cool with lots of water and going to cooling centers in case there's no air conditioning in the homes. If you don't have any air conditioning, you can call 311 and they'll find you like a cooling center in a neighborhood near you. All right, so there you go. There you go right there. Okay, let's get started with Eli Manning being snubbed. Why is he snubbed, you ask? Let me break this down. Why is he snubbed? Let's take a look. So, according to the New York Sport, according to the New York Post, Eli Manning won't be heading to Canton again. The former Giants quarterback was snubbed by Pro Football Hall of Fame voters for the second straight year, according to The Athletic. The two-time Super Bowl champion had been one of 15 modern era finalists up for induction into the Hall later this year. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That is crazy, man. Why?
Oh my God!
And poor Eli. Yeah, so the two-time Super Bowl MVP was announced as the finalist up for the Hall of Fame after falling short last year after reaching this stage. He was alongside a long list of retired NFL stars: Willie Anderson, Drew Brees, Jari Evans, Larry Fitzgerald, Frank Gore, Torrey Holt, Luke Luke Kuechly, Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri, Reggie Wayne, Kevin Williams, Jason Witten, Darren Woodson, and Marshall Yanda. Breeze, Fitzgerald, and and Vinatieri are seen as three of the most likely candidates for induction. Manning was passed over a year ago in favor of Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp. End quote. I'm excited for those guys that got in, Manning said after he was left out last January. All of a sudden, all of them are so deserving. I had a feeling it wasn't going to be my night, and I understand that. I'm totally at peace. It's not going to change my outlook on my career and how I feel about it. Along with his two championships in which he bested Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's Patriots both times, Manning ranks 11th all time in both passing yards, 57,023, and passing touchdowns, 366. Aside from Brady and Patrick Mahomes, who are seemingly no doubt first ballot Hall of Famers when their turn comes up, Manning is only two-time Super Bowl MVP who hasn't been inducted to Canton. Next year, Manning will be on the ballot once again alongside potential first ballot inductees Rob Gronkowski, Adrian Peterson, Richard Sherman, and Ben Roth Roethlisberger. Jeez. Anyway, there is no set number for any class of enshrinees, but the committee's current bylaws stipulate that between 4 and 8 new members could be elected each year. Manning isn't the first big-time name to fall short on the ballot this time around. Belichick, an 8-time Super Bowl champion, shockingly fell short of the needed 40 out of 50 votes during his first time up for induction. Shit. Maybe it has to do with the 21 to 22-year-old woman. I digress, man. I digress on that shit though, man. Let's see. And other football news, let's get into it here. Let's get to in other football news. Let's get to it. Hold on a second. Yeah, I want to get to the training thing actually, as a matter of fact. All right, so John Harbaugh's team pushed through a physical practice at East Rutherford, but the injury list is growing, even as Darius Alexander delivered the highlight of the day. The New York Giants wasted no time getting back to the physical, fast-paced nature that has been the hallmark of head coach John Harbaugh's practices. Running through a nearly 2.5-hour session, their first of the summer at their East Rutherford headquarters. Speaking of East Rutherford headquarters, it's become virtually unrecognizable given the construction project that will include renovating the locker room, the weight room, and more. That construction was part of the reason why the team went to West Virginia to start camp. Harbaugh was asked how much the construction has impacted things. End quote. I can't sit here and lie to you and say it doesn't. It does. It's not the Taj Mahal over there, excuse me. We have to make it better. It's as good as we could do right now. But you learn real quick what you need, he said. The Giants head coach added that Giants team ownership has been very responsive to ensuring the team has what it needs, and he cited the grass practice fields as an example. The fields were playing poorly in the spring. They went to work on the fields. We actually hired somebody too, and the fields played great today. It was a major improvement, he said. Harbaugh then shrugged and pondered if maybe the circumstances were a test of the players' collective mettle. We have a lot of work to do to make that better, but the players didn't bat an eye. They understand the circumstances, and it's gritty, he said. So maybe it's just what we needed. Maybe God said, I need you to be a little grittier as a football team. So we're going to put you in this park over there. All right, now we go to the injury report. The injuries are starting to pile up, though there doesn't appear to be anything that might be long-term, according to Harbaugh. Receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, whose chance at a roster spot is fading away, continues to deal with a knee issue. Center John Michael Schmitz is still recovering from a head injury suffered during the penultimate practice at the Green Bria. Center Lucas Patrick continues to deal with a knee issue. Damn, that shit is not going well. Anyway, at the list inside, linebacker Abdul Carter, whom Harbaugh said has a hand finger issue, according to Sports Illustrated. But Harbaugh was quick to add that Carter's issue wasn't serious and that there was a chance he could be back to practice on Tuesday. Slot cornerback Drew Phillips remains sidelined with a sprained knee, and cornerback Greg Newsome II also has a knee injury that limited him to individuals but kept him out of team drills. Harbaugh said that Newsome will be fine. However, defensive lineman Chauncey Golston left about midway through the session with what Harbaugh said was a head injury. Receiver Jalen Hyatt was dealing with a lower leg issue. Quarterback Jason Dart appeared to injure his ankle, but he didn't come out of practice. Right guard CC Maui-Goa was also checked for something, but Harbaugh said it wasn't for a concussion. Whatever it was, it didn't sideline the first round pick. Now we go to the Malik Neighbors update. Receiver Malik Neighbors still isn't ready to take part in team drills, even on a limited basis. Neighbors worked in individual drills and ran routes against air at the start of practice. The hope is that Neighbors eventually gets into some team drills at camp as camp winds down, as that would be a big boost for his readiness for the week 1 opener against the Cowboys. Play of the day, defensive lineman Darius Alexander was in the right place at the right time to pick off a Jackson Dart pass that defensive back Ardarius Washington tipped. Alexander plucked the batted ball out of the air and took it to the house amid cheers from his teammates. Alexander, by the way, has been having a solid camp, continuing his solid spring. It's safe to say that he's making a very strong case for a starting job on the defensive line. Other practice takeaways. Darius Slayton beat rookie Colton Hood, who bit on a double move for a touchdown in a 2-minute drill. Malachi Fields had another impressive outing. He was consistently getting open and catching balls thrown his way as he made a case for a sizable role in the offense in his rookie season. The Giants didn't really do much with the deep haul in this session, though that was by design. Not a very good day for backup quarterback Jameis Winston, who missed several easy targets. He did have a perfectly thrown ball to tight end Thomas Fidone, who took it upfield for about a 7-yard gain. Not a good day either for rookie running back Damon Bankston, who lost a fumble to the defense. That's not how to make the team. That's not how to make the team, young man. So far, so good for Brian Hudson, who has been working with the first team offense with Schmidt's sideline. I didn't see any hiccups in the center quarterback exchange, which is always a good thing. Not surprisingly, Harbaugh thought that Hudson had done well with his opportunities. Sheesh. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? That's crazy, right? Well, yes, it is. Oh, let me see if there's any more. There's any other, any other football stuff to talk about. Let me see. What is this? Let's see. Okay. All right. This is from Heavy. The New York Giants kicked off their preseason on Saturday, losing to the Minnesota Vikings 13-10. It was an up and down day for Big Blue, who had to watch second-year quarterback Jackson Dart go to the medical tent, only to come back shortly after after and throw a touchdown. But keen-eyed Giants fans likely noticed something else during the opener, and that's just how weak their secondary is. Deontay Banks and Colton Hood got to play the entire first half as Drew Phillips and Greg Newsome sat out with injury. Their performance left a lot to be desired. Maybe that's why NorthJersey.com's Art Stapleton floated a recent All-Pro cornerback as a trade target for the Giants, and why they should maybe look into a possible trade. Um, could the Giants land Christian Gonzalez? Stapleton theorized that the New York Giants could look towards New England Patriots cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who has yet to sign a new contract with the team that drafted him. Patriots could sign Christian Gonzalez to a top of the market deal tomorrow. They probably should have yesterday, and they haven't. So until they do, it's a situation that is unsettled, wrote Stapleton. If I'm the Giants, I explored the chance they would deal him like the Cowboys dealt Micah. Trading for Gonzalez would be quite the league-shattering move for the Giants. And yes, it would almost certainly take a package similar to what the Green Bay Packers coughed up for Dallas Cowboys star Micah Parsons. But New York could really use a star in their secondary, and Gonzalez would almost certainly be that star. The former Patriots' first-round draft pick was a Pro Bowler last season for New England's Super Bowl caliber defense and allowed a 64.4 passer rating when targeted in coverage. Entering his fourth season in the league, Gonzalez is due a new contract. His representation and the Patriots' front office have been unable to find common ground on an extension. And concerns exist that they won't. Enter the Giants, the who have the draft capital to interest New England in a potential trade and a glaring need in their secondary for a star cornerback. Excuse me. Christian Gonzalez is fit with Giants. The New York Giants have the draft capital to get a deal done for Gonzalez. They own the rights to their first round picks for the foreseeable future and tempt the New England Patriots into making a deal. Not only would it likely cost a minimum of 2 first-round draft picks, but the Giants would also have to cough up a top of the market contract that New England has yet to give their 24-year-old star cornerback. Spot Track projects Gonzalez to earn a 3-year, $84.8 million contract, turning the 2 years remaining on his rookie contract into a 5-year pack. Okay. Hold on. Okay, if the Giants were to complete a trade for the young star cornerback, not quarterback, folks, he would immediately fill a major need in their volatile secondary and open an intense competition for the remaining starting job. If John Harbaugh has his sights set on starting his first season with a bang, trading for Gonzalez would be the biggest move he could make. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens. We're gonna have to see and wait what happens and wait for whatever happens. So you might want to take this with a grain of salt. Until it's official, to be determined. Okay, what is this? What's this? Okay. Joe Shern saw enough in the New York Giants' first game of the 2026 NFL preseason to know the team still needs signings to bolster a thin position. The general manager promised to continue scouring free agency for veteran help. Schoen was referring to defensive tackle after watching an unheralded group toil during a 13-10 defeat to the Minnesota Vikings on Saturday, August 15th. The GM revealed that's going to be a position we're going to continue to look for and see if we can upgrade moving throughout the final countdown per Charlotte Carroll of the Athletic, Second year D tackle Darius Alexander's performance prompted the discussion about depth along the interior of the Giants' defensive front. Schoen admitted the third-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft has stepped up and made a couple plays, but Carroll took a differing view of Alexander's showing. She believes Alexander's stock tumbled even after he sacked Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy. Yeah. Alexander needs some positive reviews while he's changing his role in new defensive coordinator Denard Wilson's schemes. Wilson is finding more ways to use the players up front after the Giants lost a ton of marquee talent at the position this offseason. Joe Schoen won't ignore roster spot. Hold on. Joe Schoen won't ignore roster sore spot. Trading formidable nose tackle Dexter Lawrence II to the Cincinnati Bengals left an all-pro shaped hole at the heart of the Giants' front seven. Lawrence leaving town was compounded by versatile veteran Roy Robertson Harris suffering a torn Achilles during OTAs. That's the backup for the Giants, constructing a shaky depth chart at defensive tackle. Replacing Lawrence was never going to be easy, but 32-year-old DJ Reader at least remains a competent run stuffer and double team magnet over the ball. The rest of the Giants' moves at the position have involved adding journeymen. Players like Lecky Fotu and Josh Tupou, they both started against the Vikings, but Big Blue's defense was far from dominant up front. This makeshift group yielded 111 yards on the ground, while not enough pressure was applied to Minnesota quarterbacks Carson Wentz, McCarthy, Kyler Murray, and Max Brosmer. The brief heat came from the linemen the Giants are counting on the most to make a leap this year. Okay. Let me see. All right. All right. Let's talk about Kevin Durant. Oh, gosh. Oh, my goodness. And, of course, from Sporting News, of course. I've been saving this for a while, actually. So, there might be another reason why Kevin Durant is unguardable this season. His hygiene routine. The Houston Rockets power forward was a guest on his teammate Fred VanVleet's Unguarded podcast when KD spoke about not making haircuts, putting on lotion, and showering every day as a priority. For what? Why get cuts? Why? Why lotion? I don't lotion my body like that. I might lotion my hands if they a little dry, but I don't. Katie shared. Van Vliet told KD that he noticed he sometimes has a clean shape up, but KD shared that it's usually due to convenience and that it makes him less stressed. What makes me get a cut for real is when I'm in my room playing the game and my homie's like, yeah, we got the barber on the way, he said. Like, all right, fuck it. If y'all getting a cut, I go get one too. I ain't cornering them myself. I really used to care at some point about like, man, I need to get a cut this week. Then after a while, I was like, I'm way more relaxed when I'm just not giving a fuck. He added. So I just stopped getting cuts, stopped lotioning. I take showers. After garnering a few laughs from from Van Vliet, He clarified that he does, in fact, shower, but will sometimes skip a day or two. I shower, but I might go a day without 2 days, adding he will go musty for a day or two. I just feel like I just like to feel close to like the trenches like that. Oh boy. You stupid motherfucker.
No! Why? Oh no! Oh my god!
Oh my goodness. This is so fucking ridiculous. Oh boy. Yeah. Regardless if fans agree with Katie's grooming habits, it seems to be working in July. It seems to be working. Oh my gosh. It seems to be working. It seems to be working. Yeah. In July, the NBA champion was involved in the first of its kind 17 trade. During the trade, it involved 13 players and seven draft picks. Following the trade, he admitted he was a little hurt, but then immediately locked in. Initially, I was a little upset because I felt like we built a solid relationship, me and the Phoenix Suns, Durant said back in September per AZ Central. And to hear that from a different party was kind of upsetting, but that's just the name of the game. So I got over that quickly and was trying to figure out what the next steps were. KD has been adjusting to the Houston Rockets as he has been averaging 25.1 points, 4.7 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 1.0 steals, 1.0 blocks, and officially became the eighth player in NBA history to score 31,000 points according to ESPN. Hmm, interesting. Interesting. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything Anything Knicks related? Let's see. Let's see if there's anything Knicks related I could talk about. Jeez Louise. Key baseball. Um, okay. Okay. Um, um, according to Sporting News, winning the 2026 championship was a monumental achievement for the New York Knicks. It was also a good argument for teams to have stars take pay cuts, like what Jalen Brunson did to help facilitate all the important contracts the team needed to offer to players. All Giannobi and Carl Anthony Towns, aka Cat, benefited from this because they got good money from the Knicks. Since Towns is eligible for an extension soon, there are rumors of him taking a pay cut to help the team continue to build a stronger and more well balanced roster than most teams in the league. A Carl Anthony Towns extension on a smaller deal could happen for the Knicks. Towns still has 2 years left on his deal with the Knicks, but the second year is a player option. That means Towns could sign an extension with New York in the upcoming 2026-27 season, which could be much more appealing for him since he would love a more long term contract. It would be interesting to see the numbers behind his next contract because the logical move for the team to stay together is taking a bit of a pay cut. Oh, wow. Damn. Since Brunson proved that it could be effective, it is appealing to more teams to do. Of course, players would love to earn good money because that is the nature of a job like being an NBA player. However, the Knicks might have a good enough team that could make a lower offer more appealing. Considering the Knicks also play in New York, the personal branding could lead to more opportunities outside of just playing for the Knicks. If I had to take a guess, the two sides will reach an agreement. Towns clearly loves New York. Yes, he does. Maybe he can make more money with another team next summer. I don't know why, but why would he leave? He won a timeless championship with his hometown team. SNY's Ian Ian Begley said about a potential Towns extension. Given all the factors at play, um, the state of NBA economics, teams' approach to the second apron, the Knicks' title, there are reasons for Towns to play it safe and sign an extension. It is an interesting perspective from Begley because the Knicks could have Towns for the long term future. However, if he seeks a bigger contract, there is a change they could lose him to another team, like they did with Mitchell Robinson to the Celtics. It would be a big blow to the Knicks, so they should strike the right balance if they want to keep this core together. Yeah, yeah. So there you go, right there. Let me see if there's anything else Knicks related that I want to talk about. Let's see. Oh my gosh, man. I can't believe Kevin Durant doesn't put any lotion on. Oh my gosh, man. Do you know how crazy this shit sounds? crazy this shit sounds? That shit. Oh man. Oh my god, that shit sounds so fucking ridiculous. Yeah, that shit sounds so ridiculous, man. It's like that shit sounds so ridiculous though, man. Yeah, let's see if there's any hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the whole thing with I'm gonna talk about the whole thing with the nosebleeds that cost $3,000 for another time. Actually, this is gonna be crazy, son. This is crazy. You know what? Let me save this for another time. I'm gonna save this for uh, a later episode. Actually, let me see. Is there anything else on? Oh shit. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Man, I can't believe this shit. Okay. In other Knicks news, after the New York Knicks' magnificent championship run in 2026 this year, all eyes are on them. However, they will have to start their championship defense against the team that is projected to compete against them throughout the upcoming season, the Philadelphia 76ers, which LeBron James joined. The Knicks should have a tougher time playing against this 76ers team because they have found new reinforcements in the form of LeBron James and Jaylen Brown. This 76ers team is more dangerous than before, and they are ready to compete with the Knicks for the Eastern Conference crown. Jalen Brunson gets honest about the upcoming opening night clash against the 76ers. The opening night game will be played on October the 20th, 2026 at Madison Square Garden. Mark your calendars since it is their first game back at MSG. This will also be a special night for the Knicks because they will have a championship banner ceremony. It will be an interesting night because that could motivate the 76ers. Philly is not a pushover anymore because they have secured two more superstars to add to their roster. However, the Knicks are ready to prove why they are winners. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that bullshit. Anyway, as the Knicks' superstar and leader, Brunson is obviously ecstatic about opening night. It is the Knicks' opportunity to cement themselves in their championship defense, but it will come in a tough matchup because they are immediately going against their potential rival for the top spot in the East. Fireworks for sure. I mean, they are going to be electric. They are going to be definitely a team to keep your eye on. They reloaded this year. It's going to be a tough test, but we'll be ready, Brunson said about the opening night game on today. As the Knicks continue to have fun celebrating as champions, this will be the chance they lock back in. They now have targets on their backs, and it will be quite clear that there are opponents gunning for them. The 76ers are among them, and they might prove to be the most dangerous one with the addition of two superstars to pair with their core of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and VJ Edgecombe. We'll see about that, though. We'll see about that. Let's see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see if there's anything I need to talk about here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Let me see. All right. I think I'm going to go to. All right. Let's go to. They talk about Fred Peralta already. Let me see. Okay. Let me see. Mhm. What about Sharmania? Let's see. Let's see. Excuse me. Let me see. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. This is crazy. Wait, what? Mm-mm. Let me see. Most improved farm systems. Okay. Oh no. Let's save that. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Let's take a look here. All right, what the Mets need to do to build their 2027 starting rotation. Building a complete starting rotation has been a challenge for David Stearns. Well, Moneyball Stearns with the Mets. Stearns has his work cut out for him ahead of the 2027 season. I mean, that's if there's going to be a game because of the stupid ass lockout. The failure of the 2026 season for the New York Mets can be attributed to many things, including injuries and some bad luck. One of the biggest issues, however, is the continued difficulty David Stearns has had assembling a competent starting rotation. The Mets entered the year with six starting pitching options and traded away three of them: David Peterson, Freddie Peralta, and Clay Holmes. Another fell off the board as Kodak Singer pitched himself out of the rotation, leaving only Nolan Lightning McLean and Sean Manaea standing from the intended group of six the team began the season with. The emergence of Christian Scott has helped, and he became an untouchable piece for Stearns at the trade deadline. There is still a lot of work to be done for Stearns in the offseason. And there are a few different routes he can take to build a rotation capable of supporting a winner. The Mets' internal rotation options. The only two locks for the 2027 rotation at this point figure to be McLean and Scott, which is good since they have the ability to be the second and third starters. Manaea hasn't been spectacular for the Mets, but he has been serviceable enough to function as a fifth starter. If the team can't get anyone to take his contract in the offseason, I don't know if that's going to happen. 2026 hasn't been a banner year for the team's pitching pipeline as Jonah Tong failed to progress from his strong 2025 minor league campaign. The Mets have given Tong limited run this season while fellow prospect Jack Wenninger hasn't progressed like the team has hoped, failing to earn a big league call-up despite a myriad of injuries to the rotation at various points. The one prospect who has stepped up is Zach Thornton, who has flashed potential to grab a rotation spot for the remainder of this season. A look under the hood at Thornton's peripherals is a bit terrifying. However, meaning he has a lot of work to do to earn a rotation spot in 2027 on a potential contender. Let's see. The top pitching prospect that the Mets currently have outside of Tong is lefty Jonathan Santucci, a 2024 second-round pick who recently earned a promotion to AAA Syracuse. While Santucci could be a long-term option for the Mets, it is unrealistic to count on him at the start of 2027. The other lingering internal options are Senga, whose move to the bullpen may be his last one to stay in the organization, and Tyler McGill, who is out for this year after undergoing Tommy John surgery. By the way, Corey Singer actually is the new closer right now. He's the new closer right now with Devin Williams not returning anytime soon. I'll discuss that in a future episode about his injury. McGill profiles more as depth at this stage and could be tossed into a competition with Tong, Manaea, and Thornton for the fifth spot in the rotation in spring training. External options. The prudent move for the Mets would be to add two additional starters, someone to function as an ace and a dependable arm for the middle of the rotation. Yeah. While Tariq Skubal is set to be a free agent, his likely preference for the Los Angeles Dodgers and Stearns' re- reticence to hand out long-term deals for starting pitchers likely puts him out of play for the Mets. Um, I'll do a separate episode on that one in regards to that, and also in regards to the the difference between value and surplus value when it comes to Tariq Skubal. All right. Um, the more likely avenue for the Ace is going to come via trade, which could see Stearns flip some of his newly acquired prospect capital to add a frontline starter. The two potential rentals could fit this bill, namely Minnesota's Joe Ryan and Miami's Sandy Alcantara. That's not going to happen either. That's not going to happen with a Contra. While a more controllable option like Reed Detmers may be Stearns' dream target. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Stearns did say at his post-deadline press conference that the Mets did explore adding controllable pieces at the deadline, like Toronto did when they added Jose Soriano in a deal with the Angels, but noted that they couldn't agree on prices now. That conversation could happen again in the offseason, but a trade appears more likely than splashing a lot of money for an ace type in free agency. The most likely free agent addition would be a third or fourth starter who can slot between McLean and Scott in the rotation, reuniting with Holmes, who is expected to opt out of his contract after the season in Chicago. Could be a possibility, but the fact that the Mets didn't seriously explore an extension with him does mute that possibility. Two names that pop out on the free agent front are Michael King, who can opt out of his deal with the Padres, and Shane Bieber. Not going to happen. Unlikely. King has been linked with the Mets, with this Mets front office for a while, and is still only 31 years old, making a 3-year deal with a high annual salary, something Stearns could pursue. The fact that King has shown he can pitch in New York from his time with the Yankees should also appeal to Stearns, who has seen some of his biggest free agent successes come with former Yankees. Bieber does carry some injury risk, but has Cy Young upside, which could make a short-term deal and upside play if Stearns opts to go that route. What the Mets should do with their rotation? Well, operate under the assumption that the Mets pull off a trade for Ryan and sign King to a 3-year deal. That would give them a top 4 of Ryan, McLean, King, and Scott, while allowing Mania, Thornton, Tongue, Wenninger, and McGill to compete for the 5th rotation spot in spring training. Trading for Ryan would be a similar tactic to the Peralta deal, which has sound process despite backfiring on the Mets. It's not an approach they should shy away from. Neither player the Mets traded has made a major impact with Milwaukee thus far. So if Stearns knows which assets he can part with, he should consider doing it now. He should consider doing it again. The worst thing the Mets could do would be to bring in one starter while assuming Mania and Thornton can hold rotation spots for a full season. Considering Stearns needs to build out nearly an entire bullpen this winter, they need to ensure they have more innings certainty from their rotation. which a group like that would not provide. Speaking of Sean Manaea, let's talk about him. Sean Manaea's resurgence gives the Mets another reliable rotation option heading into 2027, potentially allowing David Stearns to focus his offseason efforts on finding a true ace. And this is from Sports Illustrated. Given the way things are going, people may need to write books about the post-trade deadline. New York Mets. Since trading away 8 of their most valuable pieces, the Mets have won 5 of their last 6 games, giving them a 52-67 record. Actually, it's 56 and 69 because they just got the sweep against the Washington Nationals. And 10.5 games out of the wild card spot. Now, this is going to sound crazy, but the Mets actually play against the Nationals in September, which is very crazy because they just swept their ass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, over that stretch, the Mets have scored 42 runs and received several strong starts, including 2 from Sean Manaea, whom fans had given up on. The Samoan, oh no, the Samoan Southpaw is finally returning to the form Mets fans really only saw during the second half of the 2024 season, when he could consistently go 6 innings without trouble. Manaea began 2026 in the bullpen with a piggyback role, finding himself in bulk outings when the Mets would hold 2 bullpen games a week. However, after being moved back into the rotation on June 13th, Manaea hasn't looked back, continuing to produce strong outings. His production has raised eyebrows around the majors, potentially earning him a spot in the 2027 starting rotation. Sean Manaea's surge as a starter in 11 starts this season. Manaea holds a 3.50 ERA with a 3-4 record, striking out 61 batters while walking just 18. In 6 of the starts, Manaea has gone at least 6 innings, allowing 2 or fewer runs in 8 of the 11 starts. His production on Sunday against the Pirates was at an all-time high. Manaea tossed 7 innings while allowing just 1 run and striking out 11 batters without surrendering a walk. Over his last 2 starts, the Mets have seen a steady increase in the 34-year-old's velocity, which touched at least 94 miles per hour on 13 of his pitches. Yeah, so this is the breakdown that somebody posted on X by Sleeper Mets. Sean Manaea as a starter this season, 11. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know what the G stands for, but I don't know what the G stands for, but anyway, 3-4 on win-loss, 3.50 ERA, 61 strikeouts, and 18 walks. Yeah, I think that's 11 batters or something like that, maybe. Yeah. 11 starts. Yeah, 11 starts, 11 batters. Yeah. So that's pretty much what that is. Slow work that we've been putting in over the last few months, said Manaea to reporters on his recent velocity spike. Feeling good mechanically. I was never worried about the velo as long as I stayed healthy. And for Manai, his surge on the mound can give the Mets yet another option heading into the 2027 season, especially with him under contract for the season. David Stearns decided to dish out a 3-year, $75 million contract following his breakout 2024 season, meaning the Mets will owe him $25 million next season. Why move on when he's providing exactly what you need? Strong production from a back end option, which means the Mets can focus their search for a true ace, along with several potential depth pieces. Mets post 2027 starting rotation options includes Nolan, Lightning McClain, Christian Scott, and Zach Thornton have all proven themselves as legitimate options for next year. McClain has continuously showcased his ability to lead a rotation in the future, boasting a 2.78 ERA and recording 38 strikeouts over his last 5 starts. Thornton has produced a 2.52 ERA in his first 7 major league starts, while Scott holds a 3.15 ERA through 16 outings. While the Mets have several prospects waiting for their turn in the minors to provide their skills, New York must turn to what the offseason has in store. Even after joining the Los Angeles Dodgers at the trade deadline, the Mets still have the opportunity to go after the biggest fish in the pond, Tariq Skubal. That's not likely going to happen because he got signed to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The 29-year-old, eventually turning 30, will be commanding a big-time payday, especially after continuing with his elite production while returning from a mid-season injury. Besides Skubal, the options on the free agent market are minimal, with guys like Kevin Guzman and even former Met Freddie Peralta as other options that don't possess the traits to lead a rotation. All options will be on the table for the Mets, even the chance of acquiring a younger pitcher with control via the trade market, thanks to a deadline that saw New York bring in 9 new top 30 prospects. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Let me see. And okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look at this Jorge Polanco. Okay, let's take a look at this guy. 2026 has been a lost season for Jorge Polanco due to various injuries, meaning he isn't an easy player to figure out what to do with in 2027. Let's see. As the 2026 season winds down for the Mets, they are likely to use their remaining games to assess what they need to do to avoid another lost year in 2027. While players like Carson Bench have solidified themselves as key pieces of the solution, others like Jorge Polanco have raised nothing but questions. The Mets signed Polanco over the winter with the idea that he would be the primary first baseman while helping to replace Pete Alonso's power production and aggregate with Mark Vientos, who's now injured right now. While Vientos drew the ire of fans for being essentially unplayable for most of the year, Polanco hasn't helped much either due to injury. Um, Mets president of baseball operations, Moneyball Stearns, didn't appear to put much weight on Polanco's injury history entering the season, and it backfired as Polanco strained his Achilles tendon in early April. That injury forced him to exclusively designated hitter, leaving a hole at first base, and the situation got worse as Polanco tried to play through an injury that sapped his power and speed. After the Mets finally put Polanco on the injury list in mid-April, it took him months to get back as he kept experiencing issues with his Achilles. Polanco came back in mid-July and hasn't done much of anything offensively since then, collecting just 7 hits in 68 at-bats, 102 batting average, with 1 home run, 3 RBIs, and 22 strikeouts. Why the Mets can't count on Jorge Polanco as an everyday factor in 2027? Two of Stearns' biggest misfires in the offseason came with assuming that Marcus Semien and Polanco could be lineup anchors to help replace Jeff McNeil and Alonso, respectively. It is clear that Polanco's Achilles has been a major issue that has Mets likely exasperated by having him play through it for a few weeks, and those injuries can take a long time to properly heal. And the problem the Mets are going to run into here is that Polanco is due another $20 million next season, and Stearns is unlikely to want to cut bait on him after one season. The injury Polanco suffered forced the Mets into an untenable situation at first base, making an already questionable decision to play him at a position he barely knew looked even worse. Counting on Polanco to play first base again would be the definition of insanity, so expect the team to explore its options there in the offseason. The fact that Polanco has experience as a middle infielder could make him a nice utility piece who could get reps at the other infield spots in addition to DH. But that strategy would depend entirely on seeing Polanco show up to spring training, whether it starts next season after a potential lockout fully healthy. The return have gotten so bad for Polanco that the Mets may want to consider shutting him down to fully treat the Achilles issues that have plagued him in hopes of getting some value out of him in 2027. Running Polanco out every few days in a lost season isn't helping him or the Mets right now. So the best course of action would be to simply work on getting him fully healthy and aim towards being the primary DH in 2027. A DH role would generally keep Polanco healthier and could open up options for them to use him in the field on select occasions, giving the Mets the best chance to get value from Polanco in 2027. What they are doing now clearly isn't working, so perhaps it's time to admit defeat on Polanco this season. Let's see. Let me see. All right, some more stuff. Let's take a look at this next one. All right, so the veteran catcher Luis Torrens has been on a tear through the first half of this month. The first half of the 2026 season wasn't great for the New York Mets or veteran catcher Luis Torrens. The Mets were on the fast track towards the bottom of the National League standings, while Torrens couldn't get into a groove at the plate. The backup catcher slashed 216, 278, 315 with 2 home runs, 18 RBIs, and a 593 OPS in 59 games, which is 46 starts. In the first half, Torrens isn't known for his offense as he's a career 228 hitter. His calling is defense, as this season he's ranked in the 96th percentile in framing, 5 and 93rd percentile in caught stealing, above average 4 per Baseball Savant. In fact, Torrens' defense likely played a part in why his name was popping up in rumors ahead of the trade deadline earlier this month. However, the Mets were reportedly reluctant to move him, and they made the right decision, as the 30-year-old catcher has been cooking at the plate this month and the second half of the 2026 campaign. Torrens' second half spark is giving Mets fans something to cheer about. With the playoffs out of the picture, the Mets are playing for pride and roster positioning for next season. Torrens doesn't have to worry about the latter, as he signed a two-year $11.5 million extension in May, keeping him in New York until after 2028. The veteran backstop is in a groove at the plate right now, slugging 375 with 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, and a ridiculous 1.411 OPS across 5 games this month. At no other point this season did Torrens have a batting average north of 300. Torrens hit his third homer, short for home run, in Wednesday night's loss to the Atlanta Braves. It was a 375-foot shot to the opposite field off a 91 miles per hour 4-seam fastball in the 6th inning from starter Tyler Mayo. This season, the Venezuelan native has hammered fastballs, slugging 280 with 5 doubles and 4 home runs. Torrens' only other home run this season has come on a breaking ball. Before the calendar flipped to August, Torrens' best month at the plate was in July, where he hit 231 with 3 doubles and 4 RBIs. His OPS last month was 610, which was down from June 658. But it was the third straight month it sat at 600 or better. Overall, the veteran catcher is slashing 306, 390, 611 with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and an OPS of 1.001 in 11 games. That's 10 starts during the second half of the season. If you are Mets interim manager Andy Green, you are excited to see this uptick in offense from Torrens, especially on nights when Francisco Alvarez will not play. Sometimes he'll be the DH. There are many teams in the majors who don't have one good catcher, let alone the luxury of 2. The Mets' rival in the Bronx is finding that out the hard way this season, given their catching woes. That being said, the Mets should be excited about this development and hope that Torrens can keep it up In a season that has been frustrating to watch at various points, seeing the veteran get hot at the plate shows New York made the right decision to give him an extension and not trade him at the deadline when they could have added more to their farm system. Yeah, there's no need. There's no need to trade. There's no need to trade Luis Torrens, man. I mean, after all, man. Um, Earlier as I was watching the game as the Mets were at Citi Field playing against the Washington Nationals as they got the sweep. He did hit a home run today, actually, so that kind of adds up. So there you go, right there, man. Who else, man? So there's another player that I noticed that actually played a little bit of first base. Um, Other than Jared Young, Jared Young did play good first. He did play good games at first base, though, man. You know what I mean? And let me see, Gabriel Arias. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this, though. The New York Mets claimed Gabriel Arias off waivers from the Cleveland Guardians last week, adding a veteran infielder to their current group. Arias has spent the first 4.5 seasons of his career in Cleveland, but was removed from the roster when the team called up top prospect Angel Janeo, putting Arias in need of a new home. With opportunity available in Queens, the Mets brought him in for a new chance. Following the trade deadline, the Mets find themselves in a position where they are focusing more on their 2027 campaign and what that roster might look like. With first baseman Mark Vientos still on the shelf after suffering a break in his hand over a month ago, and Brett Beatty seeing increasing time in the outfield, the Mets' infield depth is certainly in question. The likes of Nick LaRusso provides the Mets with interesting options in the minor leagues. The Mets have yet to bring up any from the minor leagues for a look. As of right now, the Mets are giving Arias a legitimate runway to try and impress before the 2027 season. With the way things are currently trending for the Mets, Arias could be the only bench infielder who gets a look this year. It gives him a great leg up, especially given that any success he will have would come against legitimate major league pitching and not spring training arms. If he is able to handle this chance and make the most of it, it could put a specific Met on the hot seat heading into the offseason. Gabriel Arias could put Mark Vientos firmly on the wrong side of the Mets roster bubble heading into 2027. In his stint with the Guardians this year, the Venezuelan-born infielder put up a 669 OPS with 5 homers, 11 runs driven in, and 4 stolen bases while being able to cover ground at all 4 infield positions. For his career, he has seen at least 10 innings at all 7 defensive positions in the field. He brings a defensive versatility to the table that the Mets simply do not have right now and are clearly trying to find as they continue to play Beatty in the corners of the outfield. On top of his versatility, Arias is cheap and under club control. He will remain under team control through the 2030 season and would not hit arbitration until the 2027 cycle. This would put him in the same arbitration and subsequent free agency cycle as Vientos, whom Arias would be competing for a spot within this scenario. Beyond the field, Arias could also represent a total change from the prior days for the Mets. With Vientos, there is still hope of returning to form with what helped guide the Mets to a 2024 NLCS appearance, and that hope could be doing more harm than good. Arias should see chances with the Mets over the final 2 months of the year, and it could close the book on Vientos' tenure. Oh boy. Damn. That shit has to fucking suck though, man. For Vientos to get injured. Yeah, he was not going to be in the trading deadline situation. He was not going to do that. He was not going to do that though, man. Let me see. Three candidates who could replace Robert Stock in Mets starting rotation. Jeez. Really? Let's see. So after depleting their rotation at the MLB trade deadline, the Mets found themselves in a sticky situation. Who would fill their final spot in the rotation? Just a day before trading Freddie Peralta, the Mets decided to scratch what would be his final start, experimenting with Kodai Senga back in the mix. Senga would deliver 4 scoreless before completely falling apart in the 5th, allowing 3 runs with 2 walks before his night was cut short. The Mets moved the failed starter into a new role, trying him out as a high leverage reliever, which has so far worked, even stepping in as their new closer with Devin Williams down. 2 days later, the Mets would try Robert Stock as a starter, succeeding with a 5-inning outing in which he allowed just 1 run and struck out 4 batters. The outing was impressive enough to land him a second chance in the rotation, where he unfortunately struggled, surrendering 8 runs in 3 innings against the Pirates on August 8th. Even with the poor performance, the Mets still remain committed to Stock, with manager Andy Green confirming to SNY reporters prior to their game Tuesday that Stock would be starting in their weekend series against the Nationals. Simply put, having Stock start going forward makes very little sense, given that there are many options sprinkled throughout the organization that could make an impact post 2026. Here are 3 potential internal options that the Mets should consider over the 36-year-old. Number 1, Tobias Myers. While it's not the perfect option, Tobias Myers serves as one of the potential pitchers in AAA who could fill in their final rotation spot. The former Brewer was included in the package that sent Freddie Peralta to Queens, expecting to fill in as a long-term reliever who could occasionally make spot starts at the MLB level. The bouncing around roles caused the 28-year-old to struggle, holding a 6.26 ERA through 26 appearances, causing the Mets to send Myers down to their AAA affiliate. Although Myers has continued to struggle, the Mets have still attempted to provide the former starter with more length, continuously upping his pitch count through each start. In the minors this season, the righty holds a 5.40 ERA in 9 appearances, starting 5 times. But the furthest he's gone was on August 8th, where he went 3.1 innings on 61 pitches, allowing 3 runs while walking 2 batters. Promoting Myers to a starting role for the remainder of the season makes the most sense, because he's under team control until 2031, which gives the Mets a chance to really scope out what a once promising arm could potentially provide to a rotation in need of tools. Number two, Jonah Tung. It's time for the Mets to take their training wheels off. They must finally see what their developing former number one prospect has to offer at the major league level, as, especially with an important offseason approaching. Jonah Tung has had the opportunity to pitch for the Mets, making 5 starts in 2025 and posting a 7.71 ERA while going 2-3. 2026 offered Tung a different role, holding down a short stint as a long relief option where he held a 3.60 ERA in 3 outings. I think we have to see ingredients that we believe will succeed on the field here, said Green when talking to SNY reporters about what the Mets want to potentially see from Tong before a promotion. We want to we want to put him in a place where he's going to be successful when he comes back. Tong holds the most starts in AAA, going 3-6 over 20 outings with a 5.32 ERA, striking out 109 and walking 53, struggling with his command. The 23-year-old appeared Tuesday night following an outing where he allowed 5 home runs, going 4 innings while allowing 1 run, striking out 6 batters while walking 4. While starting at the MLB level may not be ideal for his development, it would be important to the Mets' plan, either solving their current glaring issue or serving as an eye-popping reminder that a true ace pitching option will be needed this offseason. And number 3, Jack Wenninger. Like Tong, it makes sense for the Mets to give number 9 prospect Jack Wenninger a chance to prove himself at the major league level, but there are many worries in his current game. Like Tong, the 24-year-old has really struggled with his walks, walking a total of 53 batters through 91 innings, the most of his career. In 17 starts this season, Wenninger holds a 4.43 ERA along with a 1.43 whip. Promoting Wenninger makes sense because the Mets must add him to their 40-man roster by November to ensure he isn't Rule 5 eligible. Although he has struggled with consistency and an inflated walk rate, a spot in Queens would give the coaching staff a baseline for any required adjustments heading into 2027. Hold on. Let me see. If there's. Oh, shit. Okay. It is puzzling that his strong season hasn't led to more award consideration. The Mets have been a bit more fun since their trade deadline fire sale, giving their fans a reason to turn on SNY every night as they have played more inspired baseball. One of the keys to that excitement level is the club's strong young outfield with AJ Ewing, aka the Flash, and Carson Bench. Both of them are the psychopaths. Looking like cornerstone pieces for the future as they are. They'll be back. An early season move to the leadoff spot unlocked Benj's offensive game, helping build his confidence before a drop back into the middle of the batting order that gave the lineup a more complete look. Ewing has drawn a ton of hype thanks to his dynamic speed and outstanding defensive play, but Benj has been a steady presence for the Mets since mid-April. Over the course of the season, Benj has batted .272 with 13 home runs, actually 14, Actually 14 because he just hit a home run in yesterday's game with the Nationals. 47 RBIs, 18 stolen bases, 62 runs scored, and a 744 OPS in 115 games. That is very strong production. That is very strong production for a 23-year-old getting his first taste of the big leagues, which has been worth 2.5 wins above replacement. Those kinds of numbers should put Bench firmly into the National League Rookie of the Year conversation. Instead, he currently holds the fourth best odds, plus 3,500 on DraftKings Sportsbook, even trailing teammate Nolan Lightning McClain plus 3,000. The Cardinals' J.J. Weatherholt is currently the runaway leader in the odds of negative 160, while the Reds' Sal Stewart is the second choice at plus 130, light years ahead of the Mets pair. Damn. Analyzing why Carson Bench doesn't have better NL Roy odds. The counting stats between Bench and Weatherholt aren't too dissimilar, with the Cardinals' second baseman batting 244 with 16 home runs, 45 RBIs, 12 stolen bases, 75 runs scored, and a 729 OPS in 113 games. The big differentiator between the pair appears to be defense, with Weatherholt playing strong defense up the middle and getting the corresponding WAR boost up to 4.3. That WAR gap, along with the fact that Weatherholt started hot and has helped the Cardinals compete for an NL wild card spot in a perceived gap year, has given a huge narrative edge to him over the field. Bench started poorly for the first 3 weeks of the season and has made up significant ground since then. But if Weatherholt holds serve while St. Louis fights for a playoff spot until the end of the season, it could make him tough to beat in that regard. The NL Rookie of the Year status is significant for the Mets, who would receive a bonus draft pick from the league's prospect promotion incentive program, with Bench or McClain, for that matter, winning the award. In a time when President of Baseball Operations Moneyball Stearns wants to reload the Mets farm system, as evidenced by some of his deadline returns in deals for Luke Weaver and Freddie Peralta, an extra draft pick after the first round, and the accompanying bonus pool money that comes with it could be a big help towards those efforts. There are still 6 weeks left in the season for Bench to push for the award, but he will likely need to outperform Weatherholt significantly with the bat to counter Weatherholt's big defensive edge. It certainly isn't impossible. It certainly isn't an impossible task, but the power of narrative and Weatherholt's own deserving season have put Bench on the back foot in this awards race. All right, I want to talk about before I get to the sports rundown of the minor leagues and as far as different teams and stuff. I want to talk about Howie Rose for a second. All right, according to Awful Announcing, here's what's going on here. So we're going to go ahead and say it's safe to claim that the New York Mets will not win a World Series in Howie Rose's final season in the booth. That's at least what Carlos Mendoza, who has since been relieved of his duties, promised to the departing radio voice of the Metropolitans. The 72-year-old Howie Rose wanted nothing more than to book in his last opening day at Citi Field with a ceremony on the steps of City Hall. But after a 9-19 start sandwiched in between a 12-game losing streak, we wrote that Rose deserved better. The Mets have since gone 44-49 during that stretch. Hardly a team that looks primed to honor Rose in October, let alone the rest of the way. But the organization will attempt to honor Rose in another way as Sportsnet New York, which is SNY, announced this week plans to premiere a new documentary called Howie Rose Put It in the Books, which is going to air on Tuesday, August the 18th, after the post game at 10:30 on SNY. Mark your calendars. You don't want to miss it. The 60-minute feature will include reflections from Mike Piazza and Pete Alonso on the calls that accompanied two of the most memorable home runs in New York Mets history. Alonso's own game-winning blast in the 2024 Wild Card Series, chief among them. The Mets would later play the audio over the team's plane speakers on the flight home from Milwaukee, giving Rose a standing ovation before he walked back to celebrate with Alonso. Howie Rose made plenty of calls worthy of their own hour-long special over his career. And Marv Albert, Mike Francesa, Gary Cohen, and Ian Eagle each seem to speak to that in the film, describing not just Rose's technical skill on the air, but his standing in New York sports more broadly. As he enters the twilight of a storied broadcasting career, Rose is still very much a treasure, as evidenced by a recent profile in New York Magazine's Intelligencer. But he also doesn't want to overstay his welcome in the booth. Diagnosed with bladder cancer in 2021. Hold on. Okay. Diagnosed with bladder cancer in 2021, Rose trimmed his workload to roughly 100 games in recent seasons before deciding to cut travel out completely this year. He announced ahead of the 2026 season that he called 86 games total, all of them either home broadcast from Citi Field or the 3 Subway Series road games at Yankee Stadium in September, the only trips he agreed to still make. In recent years, he addressed his future by noting plans to return the following season, then reserving the right to reassess everything once he settles back into his home in Florida for the offseason. He eventually came to the conclusion that this season would be his last. Of course, there's always the John Sterling precedent to come out of retirement for the playoffs, but no Mets fan is holding their collective breath for a similar encore in 2027, not with the way 2026 has played out, and especially with the uncertainty over whether there'll even be a season to speak of. Of course, the uncertainty of the stupid ass lockout, of course. Whether Howie Rose's future holds anything like that is a question for another Florida offseason. For now, SNY will do its best to honor the career that was before Rose officially puts it in the books. All right, like I said, make sure you tune in after the Mets post game. After the Mets post game, Howie Rose put it in the books. It's going to be premiering on this Tuesday coming up, August 18th at 10:30 p.m. on SNY. All right. So let me see what else I can talk about here as far as like the minor leagues and stuff. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything to talk about as far as the minor leagues. Hang on 1 second here, folks. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Oh, here we go. All right. I gotta break that. I have to break down what's going on in the minors as far as like the Binghamton team and the other teams in particular, as far as like the Brooklyn Cyclones, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, and yeah, we'll get into it right here in the sports rundown. Yeah, this is where I actually talk about what's going on in the minors, like down on the farm, as far as like the different types of prospects and how they're doing so far. So here it is, the sports rundown. All right, let's start off with this. Let's start off with this though. Most recently, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, 17-22, won their seventh consecutive game and swept the Hartford Yard Goats. Of course, this 15-24, winning 4-3 on Sunday afternoon at Mirabito Stadium. It marks Binghamton's first 6-game series sweep since May 27th through June 1st of 2025 against the Chesapeake Bay Sox. In a 1-1 tie in the bottom of the 6th inning against right-hander Hunter Mann, designated hitter Emilian Petre tallied his second single of the afternoon, and third baseman Jefferson Rojas fouled as he reached on a fielder's choice and a throwing error from Jack O'Dowd to second base. With 1 out in the inning, first baseman Billy Amick stepped in and delivered a go-ahead 3-run home run to put Binghamton on top 4-1. It was Amick's 4th homer of the series, his 5th in 7 games with the Rumble Ponies, and his 28th overall. Binghamton right-hander Channing Austin made his 7th Double-A start and handled in his best start at this level, as he went 3.0 innings and allowed just 1 run with 6 strikeouts. The 6 punchouts were a Double-A career high. Hartford struck first in the top of the 3rd inning to go in front 1-0. After Austin retired 6 straight hitters, catcher Jimmy Obertop hit a solo home run to lead off the inning. Austin put down the final 3 hitters in order. Trailing 1-0 in the bottom of the 5th inning with 2 outs, catcher Kevin Parada belted a game-tying home run. In the series, Parada drove in 4 runs, and all 4 were either game-tying or go-ahead hits. Hartford right-hander Connie Stain allowed 5 hits and 1 run over 5.0 innings as he threw 99 pitches. Binghamton right-hander Christopher Gomez pitched 2.0 perfect innings with 3 strikeouts in his second Double-A appearance. Right-hander Bryce Jenkins followed in the 6th inning and tossed a perfect frame with a strikeout. In the top of the 7th inning, Hartford cut into the Binghamton League to make it 4-3. Right-hander Carlos Guzman allowed 1 earned run and 2 overall in the frame. Designated hitter Andy Perez led off the frame with a solo home run for his second hit of the series. Then with 1 out, right fielder Braylon Wimmer doubled, and left fielder Mike Antico fouled as he was hit by a pitch. Wimmer and Antico engineered a double steal, and Parada's throw to second went into the outfield, which scored Wimmer from third to cut the Binghamton lead to 1. Rumble Ponies right-hander Saul Garcia pitched a scoreless 8th inning, and in the ninth inning, right-hander Garrett Stratton notched his second save of the series and of the year, striking out 3 batters. Binghamton is now 5.0 games below 500 after being 12 games below that mark just 7 games ago. The Rumble Ponies open up a 6-game series with the Portland Sea Dogs. Oh man. And on Tuesday at Delta Dental Park at Hadlock Field. First pick, I don't need to read that part. Anyway, so this is quite interesting. So Amic's 28th homer, his 5th with Binghamton over 7 games. 1 for 3, a run, home run, 3 RBIs, and a walk. Petre's 17th multi-hit game, 2 for 4 with a run. Parada's second home run of the series, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Austin Double-A career high 6 strikeouts. Christopher Gomez perfect in the second Double-A appearance. Jenkins perfect in third Double-A appearance and first win. And Stratton's second save this series. Okay. All right, there you have it. Let's see. Anything else? Okay, let's go over what's going on with Syracuse Mets. Let's go over that. Okay. You have the Syracuse Mets used 3 home runs and a strong performance from 6 pitches to grind out a 4-3 win over the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp on Saturday night at VyStar Ballpark. VyStar Ballpark. Okay. Syracuse jumped in front in the top of the first. MJ Melendez drew a 1-out walk before Ronnie Mauricio launched a 2-run home run to center field, his 14th homer of the season, giving the Mets a 2-0 lead. Jacksonville answered in the second when Johnny Armstead hit a solo home run to left center, cutting the Syracuse lead to 2-1. The Mets got the run right back in the 4th. Christopher Morel led off the inning with his 12th home run of the season, a solo shot to left center that restored Syracuse's 2-run advantage at 3-1. The score remained there until Jacksonville tied the game in the 6th after Austin Warren retired the first 2 batters of the inning. Cam Cannarella singled and Davison De Los Santos followed with a 2-run home run to right field, even the game at 3-3. Syracuse answered with another long ball in the eighth. MJ Melendez hit a 1-out solo home run to right field, his 14th of the season, putting the Mets back in front 4-3. Chris Davinsky protected the 1-run lead over the final 2 innings. He retired Jacksonville in order in the 8th before working around a 1-out walk and stolen base in the 9th. With the potential tying run at second, Davinsky got Braden Taylor to pop out and struck out Armstead to finish the win. Syracuse used 6 pitches in the bullpen game. Kevin Herget started and allowed 1 run on 2 hits in 2 1/3 innings, striking out 2 without a walk. Matt Turner followed with 1 2/3 scoreless innings, allowing 1 hit. Zach Franklin tossed a scoreless 5th, allowing 1 hit while striking out 1. Austin Warren allowed 2 runs on 2 hits in 1 1/3 innings with 1 strikeout. Zach Mack retired both batters he faced, including 1 strikeout in his AAA debut. Davinsky finished with 2 scoreless and hitless innings, walking 1 and striking out 4. Mauricio Morel and Melendez supplied all 4 Syracuse runs with their 3 home runs. Morel also finished with 3 hits, while Nick Morabito added 2 hits and his 37th stolen base. So there you go right there. And last but not least, Mitch Voigt. Hold on. Last but not least, Mitch Voigt. The Binghamton Rumble Ponies, the AA affiliate of the New York Mets, announced on Monday that infielder Mitch Voigt was named the Eastern League Player of the Week for the week of August 3rd to the 9th. Voigt has won the award in back-to-back weeks, which were his first 2 series at the AA level since being promoted from High A Brooklyn on July 27th. Voigt, who ranks as the Mets' number 6 prospect, produced a .611 average, 611 for 18, 682 OBP, 778 slug, and 1,460 OPS in 5 games against the Hartford Yard Goats at Mirabito Stadium this past week. In his second series at the AA level, Voigt recorded 4 runs, batted in 9 runs, 3 doubles, 4 walks, and 3 stolen bases. On Thursday, the 21-year-old went 5 for 6 with 5 runs scored, 2 runs batted in, and a walk. He tied a AA Binghamton franchise record for the most hits in a single game and the most runs scored in a single game. Voigt tied Joe Tardoslavich for the most hits, 5 in a single game, which was set on July 25th, 2018 against AA Bowie. He tied Ryan Clifford for the most runs scored, 5 in a single game, which was set on July 27th, 2025 against AA Reading. Voigt recorded 3 multi-hit games and 2 multi-RBI games in the series, with a 3-hit game on Tuesday and a 2-hit game on Saturday. Voigt, who was drafted by the Mets with the 38th overall pick in the first round of the 2025 MLB draft out of the University of Michigan, ranked among the Eastern League this past week. Average first, OBP first, OPS first, run first, hit, T1, T first, T2, T2nd actually, and TB and SLG, which is slug, 5th. He ranked among AA average, average first OBP, first run, first hit, T1, for OPS 3rd, SLG, and among minor league baseball average 2nd and OBP T 2nd. Since being promoted to AA, Binghamton Voigt has reached base safely in all 11 games with hits in 9 games and has produced a 550 average, 633 OBP, 850 SLG, and 1,483 OPS with 1 home run, 9 runs batted in, 19 runs scored, 7 doubles, 9 extra base hits, 9 walks, just 6 strikeouts, and 6 stolen bases. He has recorded 6 multi-hit games and 3 multi-RBI games. This is Voigt's 2nd straight Eastern League award and 2nd award at any level in minor league baseball. When Voigt won L Player of the Week last week on July 28th to August 2nd, and Mark Binghamton's first Eastern League Weekly Award of the season and the first since Ryan Clifford won Eastern League Player of the Week for July 21st to the 27th of 2025. Last season, Binghamton garnered 7 weekly awards, 4 monthly awards, and 3 yearly awards in the Eastern League. Wow. That's fucking awesome. Voigt, who is in his first full season of professional baseball, has now produced a 279 average, 384 OBP, 450 SLG, and 834 OPS with 12 home runs, 50 RBIs, 66 runs, 32 extra base hits, and 42 walks across high A Brooklyn and double A Binghamton. He leads the Mets organization with 42 stolen bases and ranks 3rd with 66 runs. The Binghamton Rumble Ponies opened a 6-game road trip against the Portland Sea Dogs at Delta Dental Park at Hadlock Field on. I'm not going to read that. Yeah, that's very impressive. That's very impressive by Mitch Voigt, though. You know what I'm saying? That's a cool prospect to have, man. You can't. The Mets couldn't let him slip away, so that's pretty good that they actually got him. That's actually good, though. Let me see if there's anything else I need to talk about before. Wait. I may have saw something, but I forget. Let me see. I think I'm going to actually. All right, let me go to the schedule. Let's go to the schedule of what's going on with the Mets. All right, so tomorrow, the Mets play against the Padres at Citi Field, 7:10 p.m. Tuesday, same time, 7:10 p.m. And of course, Wednesday, an afternoon game, which is the 19th of this month, is at 1:10 p.m. on SNY. And Friday, the New York Mets will be in Chicago playing against the Chicago White Sox, 7:10 p.m. on Pix 11. And as for Saturday, the 22nd, let me see. As for Saturday, the 22nd, let me take a look here. As for Saturday, the 22nd, the Mets will take on the White Sox at 7:10 p.m. Same as Friday. same as Friday the 21st on SNY. Fridays on Pix 11, Saturday SNY, and of course an afternoon game 2:10 p.m. on SNY as well. And Monday they get the day off, and they come back. They come back to Citi Field on Tuesday, August 25th, as they play against the Brewers at 7:10 p.m. Wednesday, August 26th, Brewers versus the Mets, 7:10 p.m. Thursday, August 27th, Brewers versus the New York Mets, 7:10 p.m. And of course, Friday and Saturday, Friday, 7:10 p.m. And of course, the Astros versus the Mets at 4:10 p.m. on SNY. And of course, Sunday, August the 30th, Astros versus the New York Mets at 7:20 p.m. on NBC plus Peacock. You got Monday, August 31st, the Mets take on the Rays, 6:40 p.m. on SNY. Tuesday, September 1st, New York Mets versus the Rays at 6:40 p.m. Wednesday, September 2nd, New York Mets versus the Rays, 6:40 p.m. on SNY. Friday, September 4th, Giants versus the New York Mets, 7:10 p.m. on Pix 11. September 5th, Giants versus the New York Mets, 4:10 p.m. on SNY. Sunday, September 6th, New York Giants versus the New York Mets at 1:40 p.m. on SNY. All right, so that was the rundown of the sports rundown as far as the schedules and how the minor league players are doing. Now I want to take a look at who's going to be starting tomorrow's game. Let's take a look. I want to take a look real quick. Let's see. Tomorrow, Nolan McLean is going to be starting tomorrow. I'm not sure who's going. Bueller Walker is going to be starting. Bueller Walker is going to be starting tomorrow's game. As far as Tuesday and Wednesday, I will actually circle back on this some other time. So there you have it right there. So all right. I'm gonna wrap this up right now. All right. Let's do this. All right. Let's go to a very last segment right here. Stream choices on the go. Let's do it. All right. Make sure you follow Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast. The sports show on Facebook alongside with Bluesky Social and alongside with Threads and Instagram, and the same goes for my other podcast shows, my entertainment review show, Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast, and alongside with the comedy Off the Meat Rack Chains New York Avenue podcast. It's also on there. You can also follow your host with the most G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. On there on Threads and Instagram as well. And of course, make sure you click on that subscribe button on the sports YouTube channel page of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Podcast. And of course, leave a like and a comment, and let me know how you feel about the sports topics in today's episode that's been discussed, and along with the previous episodes that you listened to. All right. And of course, you can hype up the videos as well. In case I forgot to tell you, you can hype up the videos as well. Spread the word. Word of mouth is important. You can share this with your friends that's also into sports, that watch sports games and stuff. And of course, click on the notification alerts so you'll be notified on when I'll be on the air live. Getting ready to do my new live stream podcast, new episode recordings, and all that great stuff right there. So there you go right there. All right, I'm about to wrap up right here, man. That's going to do it for me. I'm your man, G Money Stacks, a.k.a. the Gregonator. Rhymes with now or later. And I'd like to say thank you to every single one of you out here for taking the time to listen and watch the episodes whatsoever. And remember, the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and earn it. It's not going to be given to you on a fucking silver platter. And of course, whatever career field you're trying to do, even if it involves, making a career in podcasting, whatever it may be, man, don't let anybody tell you there's no money into something. You just got to put in the work, and also be on your P's and Q's. Find your niche, your wins, your whats, your whys, your wins, your hows. Creatively, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, that gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. And listen, stay tuned for more new sports topics in the next episode. And of course, next time I will be back with more new sports topics and everything else in between. And remember to tune into the Howie Rose Put It in the Books documentary on Tuesday, August the 18th, after the Mets SNY's Mets post-game show. It starts at 10:30 p.m. on SNY. All right, so there you go right there. Stay tuned for Anthony Rivera's Subway to Shade podcast, which is coming on at another hour. I'm going to tune into that. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Peace and one love. See y'all next time. Be careful out there. Be safe out there. And I'll be watching more Mets games as much as I can. Peace and one love. In the words of Ken Stars, of course, make sure you tune into Hot 97's Tri-State of Mind every Saturday, 10 through 11 a.m. with Linda and Ray. Have a good night, everybody.